You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering a player experience news.
Let's go! Heyo, and welcome to Podcast PXN episode 290. What is up, guys? I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, who is not here, Roshan Warner. He's invisible, but he will return. And the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian.
Hi.
Hi. Is that Garrett?
Hi.
Hi. And the reformed Tarkov Teletubby and my fellow Spartan, Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggins.
Say the line with me, Dan. Say it. Reporting for
Reporting
duty.
for duty. Jesus Christ. All right.
Whoa. Are you guys still... Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
I'm going to
can.
send you what I see from Discord on my end, and then...
Oh. I'm guessing it's crazy. All right.
I'll keep listening to you.
Okay. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Christian wishes he could be watching us right now. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is our discussion around EA and Respawn Entertainment, more specifically. What is going on over there? We've got some news hot off the press.
I'm back, by the way. I can see you guys again.
Oh, okay. It just took me saying that you wanted to watch us live.
Basically.
Then boom, you're able to see us. All right, let's dive into the topic of the show here. What is happening at EA and Respawn? Respawn has published an announcement on their Twitter account, and they write, "At Respawn, bold ideas, creative risks, and passionate storytelling have always defined who we are. That spirit has carried us through incredible highs and sometimes through difficult changes too. As we sharpen our focus for the future, we've made the decision to step away from 2 early-stage incubation projects and make some targeted team adjustments across Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi. These decisions aren't easy, and we are deeply grateful to every teammate affected. Their creativity and contributions that helped build Respawn into what it is today. We're offering meaningful support to those impacted, including exploring new opportunities within EA. Looking ahead, our commitment to player-first experiences remains unchanged. Innovation has always been at the core of Respawn's identity and continues to drive how we build the future, from evolving live experiences to crafting new worlds and stories. For Apex Legends, that means not just delivering competitive, innovative seasons, but expanding what Apex can be. While the team will continue to refine gameplay and bring new ideas to upcoming seasons, we're also investing in what's next for the franchise, exploring bold experiences that push the boundaries of competitive play while staying true to the spirit of competition, creativity, and integrity that our community expects. Within the Star Wars universe, we're excited to keep building new stories with the next chapter of Star Wars Jedi, aiming to raise the bar once again for storytelling and gameplay. To everyone who has been part of our journey, past, present, and future, thank you for making Respawn what it is, etc." So a lot there, but essentially they canceled 2 incubation projects and seemingly are teasing a new Apex Legends game that's coming, and obviously Star Wars Jedi.
You're a better person than me, because I would not have read the entire corporate HR tweet verbatim.
Which
Yeah,
all of it is pretty much just there to say, please don't get mad at us.
Right.
Exactly.
Just trying to give context on both fronts. We're going to get to that.
Mm.
Please, Apex is still going to be in good shape, we swear.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're releasing a big corporate statement that's justifying pretty much smothering a baby before it has time to develop, I don't need context. This is unacceptable, and I'm devastated.
Yeah. Okay.
Devastated because of the next bit that
Mhm.
Dan will include in a little bit here.
Wait, what does this mean?
Wario 64 is not what he says in his tweet is not true. Only partially true.
Okay. I guess I am confused by that. But okay. I don't know. Should I don't even know how to proceed with the next. So the next piece of it that came out was from Bloomberg. I quoted Wario, but he's quoting the Bloomberg report. There was also one canceled project, which is a Titanfall game codenamed R7, which is apparently an extraction shooter. According to people familiar with its development, it was not close to being released, is what the Bloomberg report says.
This Wario tweet, I don't like the headline because I think it's misleading because the actual bit of news is an extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe. Remember that they were making a battle royale set in the Titanfall universe, and it was Apex Legends, and it has almost nothing to do with Titanfall when it released.
Sure. Okay.
Sure, but
yeah.
it still is in the Titanfall universe, though.
Right, but that doesn't make it Apex isn't a Titanfall game.
No.
Sure. Yes. Okay. But we don't know that it was or wasn't. I get what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. Wario's was. I don't think he intended to make it sound that way. I think he was.
No. It's the Bloomberg headline says cancels Titanfall game when in reality it's like
Right.
We don't know. It was
right. Yes, and in totality, of course, this isn't just this project or just Respawn that's been affected, but 100 people have been specifically affected at Respawn, with EA laying off over 300 to 400 people in positions that were eliminated. The company had about 13,700 employees at the end of March 2024 and put out a statement saying, as part of our continued focus on our long-term strategic priorities, we've made select changes within our organization that more effectively... All right, that's just a bunch of bullshit. So, yeah. So more turmoil coming from EA as, Dragon Age the Veilguard, I don't think quite hit their expectations last year either.
What was the other games before that too? There was Jedi Survivor, and then there was I don't know.
I know people were talking about how I guess FC isn't selling as well as it did when it had the FIFA license for EA as well.
Right? Yeah, that's true. A lot of decisions that have not kind of gone their way.
Yeah. So like
they're not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Me? Okay. I'm not saying like they're totally in hot water. I don't think it's the same kind of. I don't think people feel the same way they did about EA the way they did maybe 15 years ago when they were like continuously voted the worst company in the world or whatever. But like, yeah, when the competition is as high as it is right now, and they're making a lot of decisions where like the games are coming out maybe a bit rushed or without as much polish or are just shy of expectations, where it like kind of feels middle of the line, even if they are above average, then yeah, you're gonna lose profits. And when a company is so profit centric like EA, it's gonna lead to layoffs and the cancellation of projects that were seemingly more exciting than what we're getting from the studio right now, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah, and like, I mean, obviously this came with cancellations of Respawn's 2 incubation projects, but like this isn't even the first time that this has happened to Respawn. Like they've had so many fucking incubation projects canceled at this point. It's absurd. Like at a certain point, EA's got to just let them fucking build something and cook on a new IP. Like let them I think that's when developers shine the most, is when you let developers do what they want to do. So like if they want to go make something weird and different than what they're used to doing, then let them do it. Like, why are we, I hate the idea of just constantly canceling these incubation projects that, you know, there could be some cool stuff that comes out of it just because they're worried about the money implications behind it if it's not a fucking ultra success.
For once, I'm not going to do a movie comparison. I'm going to do a video game comparison. This is, after all, a video game podcast. Not EA, but Ubisoft. Reminds me of Ubisoft. Gosh, was it this year or last year? I can't remember when this game released. But when Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown released, very high scores, but sales were kind of middle of the road, and they laid off a bunch, like almost the entire team, right? Or if not the entire team who made that game. Lo and behold, months later, that game has sold 2 million copies. Like it's done well, and the Ubisoft, or sorry, the Prince of Persia account was tweeting about it today. Like, you know, the Prince isn't done yet, and it's like, well, you guys didn't give the game a chance, and you let a bunch of people go, which is a bummer. You hate to see creativity. We talked about the same thing with Tango, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah,
you know, Game of the Year nominee, and that team got, you know, they had to get resurrected by a different company. It's crazy out there.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. Like that goes back to our conversation that we've had in the past about bigger developers becoming too big to the point where they're making these massive games that, you know, it's not sustainable because of how many people are making these games. And it's like, can we not take, you know, 20 people at Respawn and let them cook on an incubation project for a few years and, you know, see where they're at in a few years? It's 20 people. Is 20 people going to break the bank for them? Probably not.
Well, it's not only is that a good idea, but like that has happened and exists currently in the industry. Take a look at Obsidian, right? The Obsidian, and they've seen like massive success from doing that, where they take like small 10, 20 people and they say, go work on something, and then they come back 2 years later and say, hey, we have this idea called Grounded. Should we do it? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And then they release it. And whether or not it's a blockbuster is irrelevant, because I think that the game was profitable for them and it did well critically. And that's and then the same thing with was it Pentiment was the other one that they did, I think.
Yep.
Same thing, right? That wasn't a blockbuster. That didn't, you know, it wasn't on the front page of Twitter, but it's a fun game that people enjoyed. It came out. It didn't bankrupt them. I think it was probably, again, profitable for them. And now those are two more projects in the world that exist because a rather big team, took a chance on their employees and said, yeah, you know what, follow this idea.
And that's part of the problem. Like, these big publishers are the problem, because the big publishers are saying, we don't want you working on those little games. We want you working on Battlefield, or we want you working on Call of Duty, or whatever. Even in Bungie's circumstance with Marathon, back when Activision held the publishing rights for Bungie during the Destiny era, there were pieces of their contract that came out at that time that said specifically, Activision said, you guys can't have more than, I think it was like 5% of your staff working on this other little game, which ended up being Marathon. And they had a whole big ordeal about that because the game Destiny 2 had been delayed like a whole year, and Activision was like, this game needs to come out or we're taking over, and all kinds of shit. And it all comes down to these businesses that want to take control of these companies and force them to put out content that's just going to make them loads of money, or that they think's going to make them loads of money, I should say.
Right. Something else to consider is that under the umbrella EA Originals, they're still publishing the really cool stuff. Granted, it's different developers, right? But like, it's weird that you can't also dedicate that in-house to your you know, the studios you own to have small things like that. You could even leverage that to publish them under the EA Originals brand. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
By the way, the last 6 games they published through EA Originals, 2 of them, one of them was a Game of the Year winner. That was It Takes Two, and another one is possibly a Game of the Year nominee with Split Fiction this year. So it just goes back to what you were saying about, hey, let talented developers flex their creativity, huh?
For sure. Yeah.
That said, though.
That said.
Oh, sorry, you have and even?
No, that said.
And even?
What?
That said, if I can circle back to Titanfall /R7, whatever this game was, as an extraction shooter, seems like that's the new hotness in FPS gaming right now, with like consoles specifically. People are trying to leverage that space. Having Arc and Marathon at the same time right now do their tests. I'm seeing a lot of scuttlebutt on like YouTube comments and Twitter comments. Granted, those are like vocal minority, and these are like, you never read the comments anyway, but a lot of people are like, well, this is just a fad right now. So maybe they were seeing something behind the scenes where like it maybe wasn't going to be anything too crazy, and they shut it down that way. But I don't know.
Yeah, which that's fair. I've always thought that following, you guys probably may agree, but I've always thought that following the trend in gaming is never a good idea. You want to be setting the trend. And well, Gage made his.
No, finish your point.
Oh, sorry.
I have a counter.
I just think that if too often, if you're trying to follow the trend, you're already behind, because the people who have set the trend have created something incredible or something different or something inspiring. And Tarkov, it may not be a super mainstream game, but like what it did for that genre is basically create the genre that didn't really have a spot on the map before they created Tarkov. And it inspires the other developers to make stuff, but also at the same time, those developers are constantly trying to play catch up to that specific game that came before them. And yes, there's sometimes circumstances where the follow-ups do better, like Fortnite, for example, following up PUBG. But I think that it's something that I don't necessarily think that Fortnite, specifically their success, was because they followed up PUBG. I think that they just had the right timing of everything, because they made that Battle Royale mode so quickly that it was like right after PUBG was blowing up. So like they timed that just perfectly. Whereas these other games that are extraction shooters are coming out years and years after Tarkov has already been established and been a thing for so long. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you that I would say for the most part, I don't even know if it's for the most part or if it's a 50-50 thing for me. Trend chasing can absolutely result in soulless games that don't have, i.e. Concord, right? I mean, that's like the easy example to throw out. You can absolutely result in these games that come out and just kind of don't have any real staying power. But at the same time, I will say, like, Titanfall 2 was far from the first first-person shooter. I mean, it came, and it, to this day, in my opinion, is maybe the best multiplayer first-person shooter experience I've ever had, and it was far from the first. And to that same point, I mean, you look at games, this is another more recent example to bring up, but like Repo, right? Like, you could argue that it's following the trend of Lethal Company, and yet it came out, and I think it does a lot of things better for the most part. When I think of extraction shooters, like, okay, in my perfect world, would I want the next Titanfall game to be an extraction shooter? Absolutely not. I'd like it to be a proper, sequel to Titanfall 2. However, in the extraction shooter, there is no game that even attempts to do anything with parkour or high-speed movement. So, like, the idea in and of itself of having an extraction shooter in the Titanfall universe could be something. Like, there could totally be something there. So, like, I'm still kind of leaning in the space of, like, I would have rather this team kind of see this through and see what happens. Could it come out and be a flop? Absolutely. But could it come out and do what Titanfall 2 did for first-person shooters, but to the extraction genre? I mean, like, that's also a possibility, right? Like maybe calling in your Titan is like an alternative to extracting, where it's like, oh, you can either get out with your loot or you can call your Titan in and be a menace and be a piece of shit. Like there's
Hey.
interesting gameplay mechanics there, right? And parkouring, right? Like instead of having the Tarkov model where it's like you have
Parkour out of
either
there.
you have it's all about sort of strategy and like getting your aiming and having the right equipment. It's like having an extraction shooter where you've got a ton of loot on you and you have to like outrun your opponents and like sprint away, and who's better at parkouring, and then you can get away and be safe. There's some interesting ideas to explore there, I think.
Do you remember at the end of a Titanfall 2 match when the ship would come out for the losing, or sorry, the winning team? Everyone had to run over there, but if your whole team doesn't make it, they can get shot down by the Titans.
Yeah.
There's something there. There could be something there.
My other question is, could they not have? I know this isn't optimal or whatever, but like, could they not have done something with Apex, like the groundwork of Apex, and made another mode for Apex that was like an extraction shooter with Titans? Like, could they not have done that? Because it's already in the Titanfall universe, right? So like, why couldn't they have just had like a small team work on this mode for Apex? Requires way less resources because it's on an established game, and then it could set the demand. So like if people end up going crazy for it, then build out a new game after that. I don't know. I feel like there's more exploration there that could have been done, like within the game that already exists. I don't know.
I'm troubleshooting Discord again.
Uh-oh. Because you're using a Concord virtual background.
That's true.
Okay, it looks
nothing good comes from that.
I'm gonna close this using Task Manager. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yes. So I was laughing at his background the whole time, Gage, by the way. I wasn't laughing while you were talking. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing when he turned his Concord background on.
I figured.
It was pretty funny. Oh, he's back. Welcome back. All right. Anything else before we get out of the topic of the show?
EA continues to treat the Titanfall franchise like the stepchild it doesn't love, and it's unacceptable.
And it might come back to bite them if they keep fucking turning down these projects.
Yeah, because Titanfall's gonna move out at the age of 17, and then he's gonna make something of himself and come back at the age of 30, and EA is gonna be like, I loved you all along, and Titanfall's gonna be like, well, you should have thought about that earlier.
Age's Google profile picture is awesome, dude.
How do you see that?
On the dock.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Lifetime ago, huh?
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of the time I went through your Facebook photos.
You were sending them all in the group chat?
No, I just looked at them for fun.
Oh.
Just for myself.
I thought I saw a few.
Oh, no, I did. I did. You're
like,
right.
Yeah.
I saved like one or two and I sent them. You're right. Awesome.
Right. Let us go into the news of the week. We have massive breaking news that just came across our desk just within the last hour or two. And that breaking news is the judge in the Epic versus Apple legal dispute in the United States has put Apple on blast over its anti-competitive behavior. Tom Warren took a screenshot here of the order. It says Apple willfully chose not to comply with this court's injunction. It did so with the express intent to create new anti-competitive barriers, which would, by design and in effect, maintain a valued revenue stream, a revenue stream previously found to be anti-competitive. That it thought this court would tolerate such insubordination was a gross miscalculation. As always, the cover-up made it worse. For this court, there is no second bite at the apple. It is so ordered. Apple may be facing some possible criminal contempt proceedings. Interesting. So then, of course, on the back of that, Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, came out and made some Twitter posts as well to kind of give us more information on this. And that is that there is no fees on web transactions, and it is now game over for the Apple tax, as he puts it. Apple's 15% to 30% junk fees are now just as dead in the United States as they are in Europe under the Digital Markets Act, and they have been acting unlawful, is what he's saying. And then he says 4 years, 4 months, 17 days, which is the time it's been since Fortnite has been on the iOS store. And he also says that we will return Fortnite to the US iOS App Store next week. Epic put forth a peace proposal also to Apple that if Apple extends the court's friction-free, Apple tax-free framework worldwide, they'll return Fortnite to the App Store worldwide as well and drop current and future litigation on the topic. Some really big news for the future of games on iOS.
Can I tell you the craziest thing about this?
What's that?
It's been over 4 years since this happened when we first talked about it on the pod. Dude,
It's true.
isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Wow. Time flies.
Yep, it does. But courts don't fly. They fucking took their sweet ass time on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine all the money spent for a litigation of this size too. This has like ramifications for like huge ramifications for like anything going up on the App Store. It's crazy.
Yeah, it has ramifications for Microsoft and their plans for the Xbox store or whatever on
You're right.
iOS as well. So, and not to say, this isn't to say that there's not bad that comes out of this, because I'm sure that having Fortnite on iOS just causes more kids to buy fucking microtransactions for Fortnite. Like, I'm sure Epic lost a shitload of money when Fortnite left iOS. So, still not great that probably that audience is going to be manipulated by Epic and their fucking garbage ass skin purchase prices, but that's the world we live in.
They are pretty expensive now.
Yeah.
They
And
used to not
so
be that
many.
expensive.
There's so
I know.
many, yeah. Like when I played Fortnite back in fucking 2017, 2018, there was like a few things in the store that you could buy. Now you go in, there's like fucking 15 pages of fucking items you can buy. It's like stupid.
And it's exciting every single time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
These games are a disguise for wealth extraction. I'm sorry.
Maybe that's the real extraction shooter. You got,
It is extracting funds from the working class.
yeah. Extract before you lose all your money.
I think I used to spend less money back when loot boxes were a thing compared to battle passes.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Which is what that's, God damn it. I know you're going to say the thing, but whatever. I'm saying it anyways. But when I was playing fucking Halo 5 back in the day, I did not buy any fucking rec purchases. I promise I did not spend a single cent on rec purchases in Halo 5 because you could earn everything if you wanted to. Now you could purchase the packs, obviously, but I did not spend a single cent. I've spent so much money in Halo Infinite in contrast to that. So you're fucking exactly right. Like, I've spent way more money in this iteration of it.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the Black Ops had loot boxes, maybe 3, 4. I think it was 4.
I think both of them.
Yeah, and then I know Rocket League did as well back in the day. And I dropped a couple of dollars on there here and there for fun. It was like this super rare that I would do. And then like, yeah, once I think Fortnite took off with their battle pass and everything else, every other game started, implementing theirs. Like, yeah, I would just like, yeah, why not throw a couple of bucks their way and get a couple of free things? And yeah, what's up? What are you smiling at?
Super rare.
Is that how I said it?
You did. You said super rare.
That's awesome. It's super rare. What does he actually say? What does he actually say when he's saying it?
It's become like a Mandela effect. I hear super rare. That's what I hear.
That's what I hear too, but he's not saying
he's not.
that.
He's not.
Super rare. That video is awesome, dude. I'm gonna text it in the group chat right now.
Jesus. All right. So big implications for the future of iOS. And yeah, what the hell's happening?
How many minutes are we into this going live?
Like 30?
30, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to this moment later.
Yeah.
Listen to myself say super rare on accidentally.
Incredible. All right. The other PXN news of the week item, Borderlands 4 PlayStation State of Play took place just hours ago. We got a lot of new information, as well as, well, yesterday we got a new release date for the game that Randy Pitchford posted a little early. He had a little slip up there.
He's always doing this.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
He's new to the industry, all right? It's not his fault.
He breaks his own fucking embargo.
Is that why you said heyo? Because of this?
Yep, we'll get to that. Hang on. So Borderlands Twitter account here posted a graphic basically telling everyone, be excited, because the release date has changed to September 12th, 2025. So it is coming 2 weeks early. Now, there was a lot of scuttlebutt online of like people saying like, what does this mean? Like, Take-Two owns Gearbox, and they also own Rockstar. That's supposed to be releasing GTA 6 this year. Does this mean GTA 6 is coming out this year? Does it mean that Randy Pitchford's a little bitch and is afraid of Marathon releasing the same day as him? Probably not, but we're going to get to Randy's statement right now. The dipshit is going to respond on Twitter, and so we will read whatever the fuck he has to say for some reason. And yes, Christian, I did say heyo at the beginning of this fucking episode to mock the stupid ass shit that man says in these videos. The first fucking word out of his mouth when he shows up on the goddamn video sizzle reel for Borderlands 4 is heyo. You're not cool, Randy. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god. What's happening?
This man thinks he's a fucking cool ass dude. He's saying just cringeworthy shit. Ugh. Anyways. So here's what he has to say. Borderlands 4 shipping early is 100% the result of confidence in the game and development trajectory backed by actual tasks and bug find and fix rates. Our decision is literally 0% about any other product's actual or theoretical launch date. He also quote tweeted himself saying, interesting that this comment got more pickup than the date change itself. Believe what you want, but if you're making decisions based on the belief that I have some insider information about some other game launch, you would be mistaken. We're super confident in the game and we're ready to go launch early, so there was no sense in holding out. The sooner we launch, the sooner we'll get feedback. We listen and we learn and are excited to get a bite at that apple as we are working on post-launch efforts. Fuck off, Randy. God damn it.
I've never once heard a dev say, yeah, I want less time, actually.
Yeah, right.
And to say it this far away from launch is also kind of a tell to me. If it was August and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're actually done, pretty much, so we'll move it up 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's May.
Yeah, the game's not done.
They're not even close to done polishing. How do you know that you found all of the bugs that you're going to find?
Exactly.
And this is one of those things with corporate speak where two things can be true at once. He's like, I don't know the release date of GTA 6. I would bet that that's probably true. I would bet that Randy Pitchford
Right.
is that Rockstar, even within their own company and their own conglomerate, that they are very secretive. However, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that he gets a call from Strauss Zelnick and says, "Hey, just push it back," and that's all the information he has.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't know the release date of GTA 6. He's not on the Insiders Club, but he's being told by his superior to say, "Hey, we need you to create some space.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you why. We're not going to tell you what for, but you need to move your game." And that's probably, in my opinion, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that maybe Take-Two's CEO knows that the game that GTA 6 is coming in the fall, and yes, I agree. I think he called Randy and said, "Hey, move it up a little bit."
Right.
Can you remind me your bet again? I keep asking this every week, but who is saying that it's coming this year? That's
Gage.
It's me. I have two GTA 6 bets. I have one with Dan
You're
that
right.
the game is coming out this year, and I think is that dinner? Is that what the stake is?
I can
Sure.
look this up. I have the document. Let's find out.
Okay, well if you have a document for all of our assorted bullshit, you can add one more thing to it in writing, which is that I have a bet with Guillermo,
Okay.
friend of the show, Guy, which is that when the game launches, it
Coming
will
to
only be
iOS.
playable in 30 frames per second.
Oh.
Oh yeah, no, I remember him saying this when I was in chat. He's like, it's going to be 60 FPS.
On
Which is-
PS5 Pro.
no way.
I know.
No
you
way.
think,
Yeah, I know,
you
I
think
know.
it's only going to be playable in 30 FPS? I don't think that
Yes.
it's only going to be playable in 30 FPS. Here's why.
I
You're forgetting about that weird ass mode that if you have a 120 hertz display.
don't think they're going to be able to do it.
I guarantee you. I'll make that bet. I guarantee you there's a mode other than just plain 30 FPS.
Okay, wait. Sorry, can I interrupt for this for a second?
Yes,
Go
please.
for it.
I need to update this because I just pulled my 2024 stuff into this because it wasn't out yet. Originally, this was saying Gage was saying GTA 6 will release between February 15th and March 15th, 2025, and that was a dinner bet with Dan. And Dan was saying
Oh.
September 2025.
Yeah, I think that was our original one, but then we had
Yes.
another one, later on.
I forgot about that one completely. You
Yeah.
said
So
September 2025?
Yeah, because that was last year's bets.
Which I think that was for 2024. Correct.
Yes.
All I did was copy paste. I didn't do anything to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, do I keep this and do a separate one, or do I erase this? That's your
You can
guys'
keep
bet.
that one because that one's gonna be null anyways. It's not coming out in September, and also it didn't come out in my time period, so it's just gonna be a double L on both of us.
What if it does come out in September?
Ben, you're now fighting for it being delayed to 2026. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm just fucking playing devil's advocate.
I say if you want to leave that bet in, you can leave it in because, like I
I'll
said,
leave it in. I'll do another. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was didn't we do 2025 predictions? That was then the opposite, where Gage was saying this fall and I was saying next year.
Right. I'm happy to leave that in because as somebody who's almost guaranteed going to put 300 hours into GTA 6, it'll be a win-win for me if it actually does come out in September. I'll buy Dan as many dinners as he wants because I'll have something to do.
Yeah.
So let's update this then. So Gage is saying it will release this fall.
It will release. Well, let's not do fall, winter. Not. It'll release in 2025. Is the bet.
We'll release this year. I'll just write that, and I'll do a little.
It's the
asterisk.
day after fall ends. It's not the fall.
You would bust out the Farmer's Almanac and be like, listen, actually.
And then Dan is just saying it will not release this year.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have two more predictions that we've said. Should I read them out loud?
Please.
We have one for Switch 2. All three of us have thoughts on this. I said that the Switch 2 reveal will not show off any games. Technically, I'm wrong because they showed off a small clip of Mario Kart. Gage said it will have a sizzle reel with unannounced games. And Dan said we'll show at least one new game. We didn't bet anything on that. We were just for brownie points. But you guys have another dinner bet that I have written down, and it's regarding who are the developers of Avowed? What's their name? I'm blanking.
Obsidian.
Gage said
I
for
remember.
dinner bet.
I remember.
Oh, you remember this one?
Yep. I remember.
Avowed will score higher
Yep.
than
Not
Outer
happening.
Worlds 2.
Not happening. Not happening, brother.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
We'll find out. I told you.
I'm gonna.
He's gonna stick
So
by
okay,
it.
so worst case scenario, it's gonna be I have to take Dan out for dinner once, and he has to take me out for dinner once because GTA 6 is absolutely releasing in 2025.
So you guys pay for each other.
Unless
cancels out.
Unless
Yeah.
it comes out in September 2025, because then also the other bet comes into play.
Right. I told Dan there will be no canceling out. If we both win one, we're going out to dinner twice. That's how it works.
Love for us, like, let's say a week after SGF or 2 weeks after, somewhere around there. We do another open critic predictions for the second back half of the year. That'd be fun.
For sure.
No, I'm down. All right.
Okay,
sorry. We took a little tangent there, but there is
I don't know how we got there.
I don't Randy Pitchford's a piece of shit, and then we went into I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember.
I remember. Borderlands may or may not be moving because of GTA.
Yes, that's right. Yep. I'll be honest. I don't think I even want to go through this whole fucking thing with Borderlands 4.
You mean like all the? Is there a quick write up of the new gameplay details? Because I would be satisfied with that. That's it.
That's what it is. Yeah. This is from IGN, so yeah. So there's new movement abilities that every Borderlands has updated its traversal mechanics, and Borderlands 4 has new mechanics there as well. They can take advantage of a Destiny-like mid-air hover this time around, giving players the freedom to shoot while airborne or reach faraway ledges. Yeah.
It straight up looks like
it does.
Like a warrior
Warlock.
hover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warlock, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, it does. There's also a grappling hook that can be used for both combat and exploration, as well as a dash for those last-second dodges. Vehicles, of course, will continue to be a major component in Borderlands 4 as well. I was about to say Borderlands 2 because they wrote 2 after 4. Anyways. And this time around, it appears we'll have the freedom to spawn our rides, including the new Digirunner, wherever we please. They also had new climbing mechanics. They didn't talk about that in this article.
Like vertical climbing or whatever.
Which actually, I think I like that a little bit. It gives more verticality to the game, I think.
I know somewhere they mentioned, I don't know if this is new. No, it's not new for today's, but I know they said that your vehicle can spawn, Destiny-like almost with your Sparrow.
Yeah.
You get your vehicle wherever as well in this game too.
Absolutely.
I like that change because running to a checkpoint to spawn a vehicle just to drive back has always been a bit annoying.
Yes.
I will say this is cool. I feel like, and I brought this up during Borderlands 3. Not to spend too much time on Borderlands, but I do actually enjoy their gameplay sometimes.
It is fun.
I feel like they're kind of because we're looking at like you're reading this off, right? And these are gameplay features more or less from other games that are just now being introduced. I feel like they have this opportunity that they had during Borderlands 3, and they're not doing it here, where it's like they should do some sort of weapon forging system. Like their whole gimmick has been like, oh, a bajillion weapons because we make a bunch of different parts for them, and then the game just RNGs them together, and you can get all these different combinations. Like, and I remember in Borderlands 3 specifically, there was like a weapon inspect where it actually showed you all the different parts that could have been different things. And there was never any like weapon building system. I feel like as much as I agree with people where it's like finding weapons and finding the ones you want is part of the game, and therefore being able to create anything would ruin it. I get that. But I feel like it would be cool if, like, say for example, if you had a gun and it's like you could destroy the gun and you get to pick one part of it to keep. And then like after, you've destroyed 8 guns, you can now put one together and sort of like, so there's a bit of a trade-off.
That is a good idea.
To me, as a looter shooter, like that would be an interesting mechanic that I haven't seen in any other ones that they could totally do and run away with. That I think would be fun. And you could have the same thing where it's like you can either You destroy a gun, you can either keep a part or you can keep a perk from it, because I know some of the guns will have different, like, oh, the fire rate speeds up after XYZ. Something like that. I think that would be a cool way to differentiate itself as a looter shooter. But anyways.
I think that is a good idea, like especially because like the gold weapons, they talked about in the video that they're a lot more rare in this game again. Like I guess they were super like prominent in the third game. You got them way too much, and so like the interesting part with what you're saying is you take one part off of a legendary gun, you got to piece together like 9 parts, so you need 9 legendary guns, so that wouldn't ruin like the grind. So yeah, I think that would be a cool idea, but they are not doing that. So
Get rid of Randy Pitchford and put me in his stead. I think Dan would be okay with that.
Let's pitch Randy Pitchford and let's be the pitching guys, because me and Gage were talking about last night. I had a pitch for Last of Us Episode 3, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
You did. It was good.
I've never heard you call him Randy Bitchford. Not once. I feel like that's kind of a layup.
And
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's good.
Randy Bitchford. I might use that. So guns and manufacturers, there's a total of 8 companies supplying players on this game. 3 new ones are coming into the fold. Order, Ripper, and Daedalus, will be behind some of Borderlands 4's new toys. Like the other returning manufacturers, newcomer features include unique weapon designs and abilities. Borderlands 4 is also taking things one step further by introducing a new spin on its gun mechanics, the licensed part system. Guns can now be comprised of a variety of different parts from different manufacturers, meaning you can find an assault rifle with elemental components developed by Malouin, an ammo clip made by Torg, and a shield made by Hyperion. Higher rarity weapons come with more parts, making that quest for big loot drops more crucial. So kind of a half step to what you were talking about, Gage. It's still random, obviously, but parts being intermingled. The story for Borderlands 4 follows 2 Vault Hunters, Vex and the Siren, and an exo suit-wearing former Tediore soldier named Rafa. The former playable character uses Siren abilities to conjure beings in to help them in battle, while the latter builds tools like arc knives to help tear enemies apart on the fly. Let's see. Going to follow the series trend of running into old faces while introducing new ones. They showed Moxie, Zane, Amara, and of course Claptrap. They also talked a little bit about Lilith. I imagine we will see her possibly as well. What happened there? Multiplayer, some good changes there to streamline the co-op process. They have introduced a new improved lobby system. It will be easier to join up with friends at a moment's notice, and crossplay will be available at launch as well, with all loot instanced for each player and dynamic level scaling, meaning you'll have freedom with friends on any platform. And customization goes even further, as Gearbox has implemented a feature that allows everyone to have their own difficulty settings separate from one another. Making the journey with friends easier is in split screen couch co-op, which will be available at launch, as well as an addition that allows players to fast travel to their buddies if someone gets lost. We talked about the lower drop rate for legendary loot, new defense skill trees, etc., etc. That's kind of a high level of it. The gameplay, I was more impressed by the gameplay we saw today than what we have seen before today. So it does have me optimistic that the game is seemingly going to shape up pretty well when it comes out.
I mean, Randy Pitchford. You won't catch me defending the man, but I think Borderlands has regularly for a very long time been a franchise where I get my money's worth out of the purchase from gameplay. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited to jump into this. This might be fun, especially if there's a bit of a dry spell with other launches. It might be something fun to jump into, I think.
And you know why it might look good? Because Randy's too busy doing magic tricks and working on a Borderlands movie that looks nothing like Borderlands. That's probably
Tell
why.
him, dude.
That's probably why this game actually looks interesting, because Brandy's actually going off doing God knows what.
This looks pretty great muted, but from what I played of the previous Borderlands games, I was just never really that big of a fan of the writing. Just wasn't that kind of tone isn't for me. But the gameplay looks. I'm with you, Dan. That the gameplay looks way more competent than I was kind of giving it credit. Than I was assumingly giving it credit for. This looks decent. This looks like a pretty great time with co-op
for sure.
Yep.
Those games are always like Gage was saying, they're pretty consistently great with co-op. All right. Let's move into the street meets, gents. And for some reason, I forgot to link this article, but I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Supermassive Games has reportedly ceased development on an unannounced Blade Runner game. Are we upset?
Good. No, I don't like Supermassive Games.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. They're fine.
They're fine, yeah.
I can't imagine a Blade Runner game from them being particularly well written or good.
Yeah, they make a lot of like mid games.
And the stories and the characters of their games are usually less memorable than like the premise. You know what I mean? Like everybody
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Everybody remembers the quarry, and it's like the idea, and everybody remembers Until Dawn, the idea of it, the Wendigos, the resort. But like, what's the main character's name in any of them? Right? You're just like
Hayden Panettiere.
yeah. Rami Malek was in it. Like,
yeah. Fair point, dude. Wow.
All right, let's jump into the quick bites from there. We'll start off with The Last of Us Episode 3 on HBO. We watched it. Well, Gage and I watched it. Christian probably watched a recap or something, heard about it through the grapevine.
The most of the stuff that I get for it is like on TikTok. People just post, either clips of it or like them talking about it. People were not very happy with Episode 3.
No, it was not good.
Yeah, do you want to start or you want me to start?
It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, I think that there's some more. It's interesting that we always come back to this conversation, and I feel like if there is a right answer, it's that either being completely faithful or changing things up. It depends. It depends on what's going on. Like one of them is not right, one of them is not wrong, because they've made some choices and changes that I think are gonna come back to bite them in the ass a little bit. So, Are we doing spoilers or are we doing not spoilers?
Not spoilers. We haven't done spoilers to date because I think we were gonna do like a recap at the
Okay. So yeah, I mean they've changed up. We'll say the timing of certain things and a continuing of the watering down where like. I found this way with The Walking Dead before Negan showed up. There was a couple of seasons before Negan showed up where, like, I feel like that show kind of embraced, this might trigger some people or maybe is the wrong thing to say, but I'm going to say it. It's like Soccer Mom. Like, they're kind of, like, going for, like, the casual viewer, I feel like, where certain characters are, like, doing things that are healthy and good in the real world, but maybe are not actually true to their character. There was a scene that really took me out of it where a character is like writes down what they want to say before they say it, so they're not speaking emotionally. And I'm like, that's a really healthy thing to do in the real world, but this character would not be like. This is completely antithetical to what this character is supposed to be going through right now. And then the only other thing I'll say, and I was talking to Dan about this, it is a nitpick, but I also feel like it's kind of not, because the caliber of the HBO it should be better than this. The costume design in this show is getting worse and worse for me. I saw people making a few jokes after the first episode where it's like, hey, how come it looks like everybody just walked out of the Gap? Like and at first I was not thinking about it, and I was like, whatever. I see it, I acknowledge it, but it's not a big deal for me. But there was a scene in this most recent episode where a character is wearing like an actual like influencer outfit where she's got like a sundress on, she's got a jean jacket over it, she's got like a tweed cowboy hat on, and I'm like, this is getting silly. I watched HBO produce 10 years of Game of Thrones, where everybody down to the background peasants had complete fantasy clothing made up for them. You guys need to be able to tear some of these jeans and put like a few holes in them or something.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, please.
Regarding costuming, I understand why you're saying it's a nitpick, but like that, I think you're like hitting on the nail on the head of like one of the things people are having a lot of frustration with is like one of the major changes is they did like, okay, well, it's set in a different season. I'll put it that way.
Yes. Yeah.
And with a different season comes different lighting, comes different costumes, comes different, all those sorts of things. Reflecting on the screen, the way we interpret it as like a viewer is like, this isn't the grimy, cold, very like emotionally grounded story that the game was. This is coming across entirely different, and like that has an effect on the viewer. I think you're circling that critique pretty well.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That the environment shapes the tone of the show. I didn't even necessarily think that deep about it, but you're right. When you think about what happens in the game and then the outside visual, it does reinforce that, and sort of you are losing a little bit of that with what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as me and Gage were talking about off air as well, I liked a lot of not a lot. I liked some of the things that they were doing in terms of, how do I word this without spoiling? In terms of with what Tommy was dealing with, I like that they kind of explored that a bit more in this, or it felt like they did than the game. And there is a slight issue that Gage had brought up about like, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this without spoiling.
Well, is that major spoilers just to say that the timing of things? Is that a major like plot spoiler, I think, or
probably not? I just am like trying to figure out how to say it with regards to the events
Do your thing.
What yeah. So like just with what Tommy and Ellie are dealing with, and I think that what they tried to do in this episode was create a sense of normalcy in a time that there should be no normalcy, because they were just fucking invaded. I feel like this isn't a spoiler because they've shown this in previews and such. They were just invaded by all kinds of infected, broke through the walls and all kinds of shit. And this is taking place like a little bit after that, and we're fucking starting the episode with Tommy Tinkler fucking hitting baseballs in the baseball field like nothing happened. It's like, okay, this isn't really fucking realistic. And then Gage brought up a great point as well. Like Ellie was being held back, it felt like, for the events of what they wanted to do with this episode. And so then I pitched Gage on an idea that they could have done this in a way that would have made it very interesting and added like a little bit more depth to the episode. And that's if Ellie had been hurt more significantly than what she was, and she was in a coma for, let's say, 6 months or something crazy. And she wakes, and that could even solve your season issue as well, Christian. You have her in a coma, she wakes up from the coma, and things seemingly are back to normal. You see people playing baseball. People have moved on from the events that happened prior, but then she wakes up literally like it's the day after this happened because she's been in a coma this entire time. And like that to me would have been fascinating to see the dichotomy of the entire town that has moved on, but she has not. Like that, I don't know. That's an interesting idea.
To me, I wonder why.
It's a great idea.
I don't know why they introduce a change like that. Like you literally have the plot catalyst happen, and then you just sit around and wait for a while. That's weird. A lot of the things that I've seen online, people critiquing the show, is that they do a lot of like explainy stuff this season, where it's like they're telling you how people are feeling and not showing you through like actions, which is like kind of you shouldn't do that in a visual format like that.
Right. Yeah, there is. I mean, I guess I'll wait for our season recap to get into like specifics. I'm gonna need to start writing these down though, so I remember them later. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, and also certain characters talking about like the end themes of the show, but like we're only on episode 3, and there people are trying to like convince or sway or.
I saw the clip.
Yeah, and I'm like this it probably would have served a lot better like after. It seems like. Yeah, you're making it hard for this character to go ahead and do all the irrational things she's about to do by having all these people rationally explain to her why she shouldn't. It seems like it's just a bit of a miss, and like I said, like it's writing where I feel like the writers are putting stuff in where it's like, this is what we would say, and this is a good thing to say, so we should. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not going to work for what you're trying to do. And also, the last thing I'll say on this is that. One of the observations I made too, going back to what Dan was saying, is like one of the new characters for the show that's not in the game is like this therapist of the town. She's like the full-time therapist, which is like you have opinions on it one way or the other. But in this most recent episode, it did jump out to me again. Like Dan was saying, the town's just been through this crazy hardship. It's seemingly they've lost like half. Like, won't get into specific spoilers, but things did really not go well for Jackson, like to a really big degree. And she's still the full-time therapist. I'm like, at what point does somebody come to her and say, like, "Hey, you gotta start helping out for real. You gotta help with the wall, attend to the wounded."
Right.
But like, it seems like Jackson does not exist inside the world that The Last of Us has said. They're talking about raiders and how everything is life or death, and we live in this awful world. What's outside the wall, little Timmy? Monsters! But it's like, you guys have enough spare time that this woman can just be sitting at baseball games. She's got her sundress on, a nice cooler full of beers beside her. Like, what's going on? I don't know. Little things are starting to get to me. It's not awful TV. It's still good TV, especially relative to like daytime programming. Like, it's still good TV, but it's just not up to the HBO standard, in my opinion.
And I think to the casual viewer that hasn't played the games, I think it's still a fine experience for them. Like, yes. I don't think that this show is lighting any worlds on fire, but I think that people are still enjoying it that don't have the experiences that we have.
Totally agree with you.
The problem is that they're doing it. It's like the Netflix model where they're making movies for people who are not paying attention. Hear about this?
Yes, I have heard about this. I don't know that it's gone that far.
No,
but
I know.
I see the comparison you're making. Yes, where it's like, hey, what about this small detail? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
We'll have someone explain it to you.
Yeah, we'll have a character monologue later.
Yeah. Actually, I like lesbians now.
Hey, pour one out for Seth, man.
Right. Let's move on to the next quick bite. That
was our first.
Yes, that was. Yeah. The rest of them will be quick bites. The upgrade pack prices for the Nintendo Switch 2 have come out, and we've seen pricing for some of them. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Super Mario Party Jamboree are both $19.99 upgrades if you own the Switch 1 versions. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both $9.99 upgrades. Oof.
Should be free.
I agree. At least the ones that are doing nothing should be free. Right. The other ones, if they're $10, then sure, I guess, because they're adding content.
That Breath of the Wild game is a Wii U game.
Right. Crazy. All right, FBC Firebreak is officially launching on June 17th. It will also launch on Game Pass Ultimate and PlayStation Plus Extra at launch. So we'll see how this game does from Remedy. Hopeful. They've never made a bad game.
Yeah, unfortunately, the next quick bite. I'll be too busy playing this game to play it, Firebreak long term.
And that next quick bite is the rematch beta stats have come out. They shared some stats here of the top strikers, goalkeepers, midfielders, and defenders. But interestingly, I don't see Christian Macias on any of these lists. What happened there, Christian?
We should be. I should be. Huh?
Okay. So 880,000 active players, 63% played more than 10 matches, 2.8 million matches played, 7 minutes and 42 seconds was the match duration average, as well as 3 minute and 29 second overtime averages. It averages out to 350 years of playtime.
What a beautiful lifetime it was that weekend. I've heard that we know they're doing another beta in May, but I heard there's also going to be one right before launch at the beginning of June, just to make sure their servers are up to snuff for launch, which I think is huge for a game like this.
Sounds like I'll see you in May and June.
Oh, please, dude.
Better get your
We'll talk about that in a second.
All right, the next quick bite. 4 million people have played Oblivion Remastered in its first 3 days already. Boom. And the other game from last week, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, has seen massive success with 1 million copies sold after 3 days as well, with a 98,591 peak concurrent players on Steam. Very impressive for a little indie game there. Very cool. I shouldn't say little, it's a big game, but from a little studio.
Also not indie.
From a little studio, yeah.
But it is a small studio, you're right.
Yeah. And then we got an announcement that Arc Raiders Technical Test 2 has started today, officially now. Sign up for your chance to play Arc Raiders at arcraiders.com. This is not sponsored by Arc Raiders. I have gotten my invite. Have you guys gotten yours?
Console.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Gage, you better sign up. Sign up at arcraiders.com right now. Right now.
Dan, if you play for like half an hour, you can then get another code for a friend.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
I don't want you guys to play for a half hour before me.
Christian probably already played for a half an hour.
I have not. No, I've been busy.
I'm kidding.
No, I haven't even installed it.
Neither have I. IGN has been doing an IGN first for The Outer Worlds 2, and they came out with some combat changes. I'm just going to highlight them real quick here, just because I'm excited for this game, so you guys can fall asleep if you want. They have new mobility for being able to climb and slide while shooting, and vaulting, which is new. They added grenades for this game. They looked at Destiny 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which came out right when they entered pre-production, which is why they were looking at those games at the time in terms of movement and how the game feels. Enemies are no longer level-based and will be difficult at the start of the game, so they want that difficulty curve and for people to have the opportunity to go back and fight the same enemies and have a easier time if they have better equipment and such. They in that specific example, they referenced Fallout New Vegas's Good Springs as being a good inspiration for that, where you go there right away and you get overwhelmed by death claws. They want that sort of experience, which is pretty, I like that. AI also uses cover now when you're in combat. There's a new energy bar for the player for new gadgets to kind of gear up science players a bit more and make points into science a bit more important, with time dilation, shield, vision through walls, etc. And I'm excited for this game. So there we go. Steam achievements have been added to Splinter Cell Blacklist randomly. No idea why that happened. 2013's Splinter Cell Blacklist. There you go. Is it a tease? Are we getting a new Splinter Cell sometime soon, Ubisoft? Let's hope.
I doubt it.
I hope it's not canceled.
They did. They hired EA as a consultant, and they said that actually probably not a good idea.
They hired Bungie.
Fucking A. Oh my. Stupid.
We don't think this will be engaging long term.
Stupid. All right, the last quick.
There's no battle pass.
There's no battle. That's true. Sam Fisher needs cat ears.
Jesus Christ.
There's only one kind of currency. What are you doing?
All right, the last quick bite. Nintendo Switch has gotten a firmware update that has changed icons for many of the Nintendo characters. Very subtle changes, which is kind of odd. I don't even understand what the purpose
Except for Donkey Kong, it's the new model.
Yeah, for sure. But like some of
the Bowser one is like,
Yeah.
changes to the color slightly.
and like the texture's slightly more prominent on the new one. It's just kind of weird. Like, what was the purpose of updating all of these? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at the shell right now, and then like the star.
Right. What's the difference? It's like that game that you're trying to point out the differences.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move into the fantasy draft check-in, and the fantasy draft check-in has no new pickups or anything, so no news on that front. However, we do have some points from Elder Scrolls for Oblivion Remastered that released last week. There is reviews in there now. It is sitting at 84 for 14 points right now. Oh, Clair Obscur
Gage, you missed it
went
last week.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Clair Obscur actually went up. It went to 92 now.
That's what it was last week.
I thought it was 91 last week.
90. It should have been 92.
Oh, okay. But it weirdly only has 23 points. I don't quite understand that because it should be 24 points. That's odd.
Is it
That is
rounding
true.
down, maybe?
I don't know. That is
It
odd.
shouldn't. It may have dropped to 91 and then gone back up to 92, and it hasn't like updated yet.
Yeah, but 91 that would be 22, right?
That is true.
So
I don't know. That's
I'm
weird.
confused. All right. Anyways, I believe that was the only update for this week.
Gage missed it last week. We were debating on
did.
whether the Oblivion Remastered counts as a remake or not.
I heard it. And then you guys read out their funny little, what is it, whatever, something?
Yes.
They just said, like, we just talked about it in the Discord. We decided you just deal with it. Like, oh, okay.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
fuck your tags then. All right.
Are we voting? Well, Ro's not here, but are we voting on that?
I think it's...
What?
Oh, okay, so this is what caught me off guard when I was listening to you guys talk about it. I didn't know that partial remake is a tag. That throws it at that. I don't know. That's a curveball for me. If it was, is it a remake or a remaster? I'd say it's a remake. But partial remake is kind of perfectly what it is, right? Because some of the game runs in the old code, some of it runs in Unreal Engine 5.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm.
But the existence of a partial remake category, do we allow partial remakes or do we not allow partial remakes?
Not in our league. Not in ours.
I'm reading.
If there was no partial remake category, I would say it's a remake and it's valid.
So they consider Grand Theft Auto the trilogy a partial remake?
Right? Yeah.
That seems weird, right?
That's a remaster, right?
That's what I would think.
I would call that a remaster, yeah.
I would agree. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD I would consider a remaster as well.
Right. And even Diablo 2 Resurrected, I'm pretty sure that's just graphic changes. I don't think there's any gameplay changes.
The biggest analog to me between Oblivion is and right here on this list is Demon Souls. That Demon Souls remake is like it's running the source. A lot of it is the source code, but a lot of it is like they did minor tweaks to the engine. Right, so it still feels like the old game, and it still has some of the old game mechanics or whatever, but there's like that new coat of paint over it. Shadow of the Colossus, same thing.
So what are we doing?
I'm gonna
What Gage
say
said.
my vote is gonna be it's a remake and it's valid.
Which
The
is what we decided
existence,
last
the
week.
existence of the Unreal Engine logo on that, knowing that they only use Creation Engine, tells me that there was some work put into it. For me personally.
Okay. And obviously, I'm not going to go against my own game, so I'm going to say the same thing. So
It pains me to say that. I wish I had low moral fiber and I could say that it's just a remaster. But
I think it's just such a difficult. It's so weird why. I think we all agree that it shouldn't be called remastered. I don't know why Bethesda calls it remastered. Like
right.
it should at least be, I don't know, something different. The word remaster has a negative connotation, I feel like, nowadays because
Right.
of like the cash-ins that are remastered. I don't know.
I mean I get why they did it because it is so faithful and it is like
Right.
you are getting the exact same gameplay experience, but at the same time you did go in and not just tweak things, but like you
Right.
added Unreal Engine.
Modernized.
Like you modernized it, and so it's like I don't know. I feel like if you as a studio don't know what to call it, just do the stupid like reignited or
Right.
reactivated. Like just use a random word that's neither of those two, and then people can figure it out for themselves.
Director's cut.
Or the GOAT, the greatest of all time, which of course is Volition deciding to name their
God.
Red Faction remake remastered.
Yeah. Oblivion. Duh.
Re-Oblivioned.
Yeah. All right. So quick check in on points then. Dan is in first, but of course I have the most games released. I have fucking 6 games released at 85 points. The second place is Gage with 40 points. He's had 3 games released. Roe in third with 39 points with 3 games released. And Christian in last with 36 points, but only 2 games released. It's a lot more competitive this year. We love to see it.
I'm just letting you warm up my seat, by the way. I wouldn't get too comfy over there in first place.
I'd be careful, Gage, because Fantasy Critics projecting you to be in last place.
Yeah, well, that's because the game's rigged, but we don't have to get into that conversation today.
Oh,
Don't forget Gage. Dan spent a majority of the year last year in first.
And then he lost.
And he
That's
lost.
true, but what happened the previous 2 years?
He got last.
What happened to the previous 2 years?
Row won.
No,
Row
so
one.
good.
I don't think
He's
so.
so good at this game, dude.
He is the best of us.
I'm the last of us.
The
What are we?
last
Some
place
kind of
was.
Last of Us?
All right, let's move into what you got for me, guys. I don't have a whole lot, but we did play Buckshot Roulette, and I had some fun with that. It was fun. At first, I think the number of items was a little ridiculous, the amount of items, but then I kind of realized that that's kind of the point of the game. So then I was like, okay, I understand this. And then we started taking away certain items, and it got a little better. But yeah, that game's fun. Just trying to determine which live rounds are in the shotgun and which ones are the blanks, and like trying to figure that out, and passing the buck to the next person down the line. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun.
I was not as into it as I thought I was going to be.
Oh, wow.
I enjoy Liar's Bar way more because the Russian roulette is like a side effect of the game, and roulette being the game makes it just a little bit less interesting.
That's fair.
Yeah. Just a preference.
I just want to say, yeah, instead of me bringing it up later, I think we'll just jump on it now. Interestingly enough, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I don't have a hankering to play it again the way I do with Liar's Bar. Like, I agree with you. I think less is more. However, whenever I saw clips of Buckshot Roulette, I never saw clips of any of the items. I thought it was just literally pass the shotgun around and it's a random game, a game of random chance. I didn't know about any of the items. I thought that was a cool mechanic. I think as a party game, they put in a lot of items with the expectation of you being able to make your own sort of rules, because when we were playing it vanilla, I thought it was a bit too much and the turns could go on for way too long, and you could kind of,
Right.
especially if you had a bunch of steals on you and items you wanted to use, like somebody could use like 8 items before their turn's over. So, but as a party game, having the option to turn those on and off and create your own custom rules, like I think there's definitely some fun gameplay there that could be explored.
Is there a limit to how many items you can use per round? Was that an
Yes.
option you saw?
Yes.
I wonder if we did a little balancing there, like you can only use like 1 or 2
2
per
items.
per
Yeah.
turn, would
Yep.
make it a bit more interesting.
Yes. Yeah, you can also limit each turn's number of each item too.
I see somebody pull out.
Oh, so if you smoke a pack of cigarettes, then
Yes. You
if
get
and
one-
Christian's next, then he can't. Yeah,
you
okay,
could
I
get
see.
one cigarette and one. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised with the game. I thought I was going to refund it immediately, but I had a good time.
All right. Let's move on to Buck out.
That's what I wrote for Buckshot Roulette.
I know.
Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna go in reverse order. Last week, I don't know when it was. Maybe it was over the weekend. Gage mentioned Subnautica for some reason, because of Subnautica 2. And I offhandedly was like, "Let's play Subnautica. Let's get this multiplayer mod. Let's get going." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever Gage says." he's always saying something. And then for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? Like, why don't I just play by myself? Like, why do I gotta wait for the multiplayer mod that he won't do? I'll just play with myself. And I did. I spent almost 30 hours over the week playing Subnautica. Did not know this game has this amount of sauce. It is insanely good. The exploration in that game is fantastic. The survival elements are just as incredible as what I was getting from Abiotic. The story isn't as it's an older game. It's not as interesting as Abiotic, but when the gameplay loop is that good, I almost don't care. I love the base I've built. I've just finally got enough to like make us like the big submarine for the first time, but I don't have all the ingredients to make it yet. So I'm just been on the hunt, getting the stuff. It's awesome. And the vibes, the music, the atmosphere, the terror of like going deeper in the light, you can't see the sun above you anymore because it's getting darker and you hear the stuff off in the distance. It's so good. I can't wait to dive back in later today and keep expanding my base and keep exploring. It's great.
Have you had your base come under attack yet?
No, I have not. I built it in the shallows, the first area.
So I'm glad that you're having as much fun with it as you are now, but that is one of the things that it does where it uses its setting to its fullest extent. When your base gets attacked and the water starts filling up and you've got to like run to different areas and section it off to keep the water from rising. Man, Subnautica is great. I'm so glad you're vibing with it. It's a great game.
I was also really good at like building a bunch of foundations and then bulkhead doors between my rooms. That way, in case something like does happen, I'll just like close it off or whatever and be fine. Yeah, it's awesome. There's a couple of quality of life stuff. It's an older game that I would, I think if I had the PC SKU, because I'm playing it on, I apparently got it for free on PS Plus a while ago. If I had the PC, I would mod it to like improve like the hot bar in the bottom and maybe get some stackable items with the inventory. Right. But other than that, like it's fun. Yeah, I can't wait for Subnautica 2. I think it'd be a lot of fun with all of us together.
Absolutely.
I also beat Expedition 33 mostly because it was like I was playing it for work as well. So over 30 hours, I did the main story and then some of the side stuff. And I am surprised at how much people love this game to the extent they do. I've seen a lot of rhetoric going around. This is a game of the year, and like this is one of the like most profound games ever. But they're only ever talking about the game from the prologue in Act 1. That game is an entirely different game in Act 2 and Act 3. I'll keep it brief, but like I was not jiving with the narrative shift in the back half of the game. They kind of the original pitch of the game is one thing, and then they introduce this like family drama that like is kind of also half the game's story, and they don't ever really pick a lane, and they don't decide to commit to one until like the final maybe like 2 hours of the game, and that I think was really detrimental to the experience. And the game has like 5 different endings. So, and it's an RPG, so like you think you're turning the corner on like wrapping up the story, and like okay, and then it just keeps going, and it makes for some really bad narrative reveals and some really bad pacing in the back half. That it just wasn't for me. But the gameplay still was awesome. Those like real time mechanics in a turn based stuff is always felt good. It never stopped feeling good. So yeah, Expedition 33. And now that Gage is here, I saved it. I won't talk too long. Rematch is indeed maybe one of the best games of the year. I don't know. I can't remember when the last time I had this much fun with emergent gameplay in a game like in a live service game like this. That sounds like hyperbole, and it is. But I'm also just trying to like illustrate how good of a time I had, that I like hours would erase when Gage and I were on the pitch. It was so easy just to jump into another game, and then for each game to be like as intense as the last game. Even in casual settings, it felt like this match is a must-win game. It felt like I was playing a tournament every single game, even in casual. There's a couple of things that obviously, like it was a beta. There's a lot of stuff I think I would introduce for polish and for full release that we can talk about. Maybe not, but yeah, I was surprised at like, I was stunned at how good this game was. It might end up being like my top 5, top 3 even.
All right, I'm gonna jump in a little rematch as well. The point you just made just kind of jumped out at me, and I realized how true it is. I don't think my level of engagement changed at all from when we went from ranked to casual, back to ranked, back to casual. The core gameplay loop is so addicting and so engaging that I wasn't really changing up I was invested no matter what we were playing. And you're so right about like the hours just evaporating, and like one more, and I look over at my second monitor and it's 5:30 a.m.
We were invested in our rank, and we realized, well, it's just a beta. It's just a beta.
I heard that so many times throughout the weekend, either from you or me. Okay, wait, it's just a beta. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I was wrongly ranked, and it was a great injustice.
Do you want to know, Dan, where he ranked?
No.
Where did he rank? Yeah, I want to know.
Gage, tell him.
It gave me the lowest possible rank.
Yeah,
when we played, it doesn't. And when we played with a lobby of those types of people, it so clearly did not put me in the right rank. We were playing with fucking goldfish. Either way, Rematch is a game that on paper I should not like at all. This is a game that I should play 2 matches of and go, this is a dumb game for dumb people, and never touch again. But I put almost a full work week into it over the weekend with Christian, and it's great. It is great. Yeah. I don't know that I can call it my game of the year, only because I know the types of games that are coming out this year, and it probably won't make the top 5 for me. But I can see where you're coming from, and I can see how if you're somebody who is into soccer and into games, that this is like the holy matrimony of those two things. It's so fun.
It's arcade games, dude.
Yeah, it's just fun.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? When Forza Horizon came out for the first time. And
yes.
It's a arcadey spin on Forza, which like I always enjoyed Forza Motorsport, but never was like super enamored with it. And then Horizon came out, and I was like, this is my jam. That's kind of what it seems like with Rematch for Christian.
Your gut reaction is going to be to push back on this, but I challenge you to think about it because it's true. Rematch is arcade sim. The Forza Horizon comparison is great. It's a perfect comparison. Rematch doesn't look sim in the slightest, but the amount of control you have over your character and over maneuvering the ball around the pitch, like it is arcade sim. It's a nice middle ground between the two extremes of what that game could be.
I would compare this to like NBA Street.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Which is also arcadey. Glenn says it sounds like FIFA for Gage. Only play for a little bit, and then this is for dumb people because he sucks.
That's what
Jesus.
I'm sure that's what Christian expected, Glenn. I'm sure that's what Christian
thought-
expected.
The thing about this game that really works is because it's so centric on like either the 4v4 or the 5v5 is like it demands you make connections with your teammates, and then somewhere in there, Gage and I were like this, where we knew where the ball was gonna go, and so we would make those passes or those crosses or those shots against the wall, and one of us would be waiting for it. And even if you miss, it still feels really good. It creates this visceral reaction, like, ooh, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's that connection that like just drives me like, I want another one. I want those same endorphins again.
Yeah. If we started playing the night at like, let's say we started game night at 1 a.m. From 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. we're chatting. From 3 a.m. to 5:30, we're so locked in and dialed in that the Discord is mostly silent except for the gasp here and there and the me here, and that's it. We were like telekinetically just in the zone. Glenn, I highly recommend. Right, Glenn, you need to check this one out when it comes out, buddy, because this is a game that you and I could play and that we would both enjoy.
If we had a full stack on this game,
are
you kidding me? Yeah, we would have so much more fun. Because sometimes we'd get in those lobbies where those people would be like the egoists. They want to take the ball by themselves down the whole thing, and they'd get dispossessed, and we'd get scored on, and that's no fun. But if we had a full stack and we were like passing the ball around, oh my gosh, you'd get out of Bronze 3 fast, wouldn't you, Gage?
I'm not going to be back in Bronze 3, and stop saying Bronze 3. We don't need to say it anymore.
Bronze 3.
He got MVP the match after his placement, and he's like, I can't believe I got bronze.
Wow.
All of a sudden, he said to turn it on.
Derek, thank you for joining us, regardless of it being late. Thank you. Gage, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I've got two things. Yes.
Okay.
The first one I'll say quickly, Oblivion Remastered. I've been playing it. I've got maybe like 5-ish hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours. The only thing I can say to it is that Unreal Engine 5 continues to be like peak lighting in video games right now. Any game that has Unreal Engine 5 and is using it at least somewhat competently, it seems like in that engine, for whatever reason, they've just really nailed artificial lighting, because it feels incredible when you're on your horse and you're trotting over a hill and the sun's just rising. It looks incredible. It also has that classic Bethesda kind of comfiness to it, where it is janky and the voice acting is hit or miss, but like it's just kind of like nostalgic for me, at least. It's very, very comfy. I'm having a good time with it. And also a very faithful remake. The game doesn't promote it, but it allows you to exploit and to cheat and to sneak around things you shouldn't be able to sneak around and do things. It's fun. It's that classic RPG stuff that I like, where there's no invisible walls. There's no, you must do this first, or, oh, you hid that body in the wrong trash can. Sorry, mission failed. It's very fun and free. So that's been kind of nice to get into. I don't know if I'll go long term with it. I'm still kind of lukewarm on it as a whole, but it's fun, and it's the type of remake I want to see from developers that are doing legacy remakes.
Like,
and then
before you move on, imagine that except the Fallout 3 remaster.
That's and I think that's why I'm not connecting with the game, is because I can't stop thinking about that.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about revisiting the Capital Wasteland or the Mojave.
God.
That's all I want.
Me too.
That's all I want.
Me too.
And then the other game, which is probably going to surprise both of you, is I decided to pick up IO Interactive's third game that they ever made, Freedom Fighters, on Steam. Right. And it makes an extremely strong first impression. For a game as old as it is, I think this launched on the PS2 maybe? It was an early game for the PS2.
You didn't play Freedom Fighters?
No, I never played it.
Oh, fuck. This game's great. I love this game.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm playing it, and I'm like, the voice acting and like the cutscenes, I'm like, this is like really ahead of its time. Like, this is pretty the writing is dated, don't get me wrong. It's very dated, but the actual like taking itself seriously and having like these cool little cutscenes and stuff, and I'm a fan of alternate history lore, America getting invaded by its enemies. That's cool. It's already interesting concept. Yeah, really strong opening, really good voice acting, and man, IO Interactive has had the sauce for a long time. Good stuff. I mean, I'm maybe only like 2 hours into that. Like I just started it a couple days ago, but it's fun. I like it a lot.
Oh, we forgot to mention something.
What did we forget?
Another game?
Balatro multiplayer is awesome. Balatro multiplayer is so comfy, dude.
This is one of those mods where I'm like, the collaborative nature of video games in the industry is so unique to it, where it's like, this guy made this mod that integrates with vanilla Balatro so well that like I could see this being, if the game had launched like this with the multiplayer mode, it would not feel out of place. This incredibly well integrated mod. Really interesting how they decided to use the competitive aspects. The original Jokers for multiplayer that specifically only affect the multiplayer aspect of the game design. Also really clever and really like thoughtful. Very good mod. I'm glad you brought that up. Balatro multiplayer mod.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who has a friend that enjoys it as much as you do and you're both on PC, get that. It's good. Dan,
That's
do it.
really-
I try to get you.
It's a very useful tool to like sharpen up your Balatro skills. Like, how effective can you be with this deck?
Right.
It's like doing like homework.
Yeah.
I need to buy Balatro on Steam. All right. Anything else, Vince?
Drink water.
Drink water.
Drink water, Randy Pitchford.
Yeah, no. Drink
Heyo.
battery acid, Brandy Pitchford. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Don't actually do that, Randy Pitchford, because I don't want to get sued by you. Thank you, Ro, who is going to return next week. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
Bro, these terrorists are looking crazy.